What's going on? It's Fist, bringing you a little history lesson like I do. This all started from Twitter. I know there was something about like Michael Condrey banning people from Call of Duty Advanced Warfare because they were doing trick shots and whatnot. And so I think Keemstar was like, yeah, we're going to invite all these people in here. And so it got me to thinking. I was going to do this video before all this, but then I realized, this is just like the reason I'm making the video is because I don't think people realize, they're kind of like, they're fooled, like a lot of people think, oh, Black Ops 2 is the game, and then Michael Condrey and those guys come along and they praise Black Ops 2 engine, and they think it's the best game, and so they made all the exosuits and everything around the Black Ops 2 engine, and it's all a lie. It's all fake, it's all a lie, and the reason being is because, I'll show you a little bit of evidence here in the beginning, but I want to tell you why Call of Duty changed and why, it's went down in sales completely. Now, I was going to use some stats from the Xbox One and the PS4 and a lot of other, stuff, but there's really no point in doing that because I just want to use the stats from the telltale signs of the console that's, there's the console that's most used in the United States, or the console that's just a sample. You really just need a sample of something to show, an example of it. I mean, you could stretch it out and get very detailed in it and give all the samples of everything, but there's really no point in it. So I'm just going to use the Xbox 360 stats because that's what reflects the majority of what people have, the majority of people who decided they didn't want to move on. And so I think it's the most appropriate. And I want to start out by saying that Black Ops 2 was basically the change in the Call of Duty ideology. And the reason why that was changed is because Black Ops 2 did a lot of sales. And the reason it did a lot of sales is because the anticipation of zombies. And the reason why there's more people online, on that game is whether it's the zombies or whatever mode it is, it's not the core playlist. And I'll show you that, later on as we go along. But because of that, and because of Black Ops 2, because Black Ops 2 sold so many copies, and that Zombies was the reason that Black Ops 2 sold so many copies, it basically, you hear stuff like, when you hear stupid stuff like when Michael Condrey says, well, we go by data, and that's how we make our decisions. And that's the same thing that studio heads went by when they decided they were going to make this, when they decided to make decisions on a game. And so when you have Black Ops 2 that sells all these copies of the game, and they get tons of copies of games selling, they just automatically assume that, it's through and through, that's what it should be. And that's not the case. Because if you go online and you look online on the Xbox 360, which is probably, I think, 15 million consoles in the United States or whatnot. It's the most sold in the United States. So you could get the biggest pool of numbers to understand. If you're really looking at data, you could look at the Xbox 360 and you can look at what people are playing, or even better yet, you probably could look at the PS3 because it's free online still. And you could look at those two and you say, okay, X amount of people are playing Black Ops 2. And then you go, you see how many people is online. You look to the left, and it tells you how many concurrent players are online. And then when you switch over to go to Team Deathmatch, and it'll show you about 32% of the total population who is on any time on the game is just playing core. So you have 68% of people who are either playing zombies or doing something else on the game. You know, whatever it is, single player, the zombies mode, they're not playing the core gameplay at all. So you have to realize when you have a game like that, and studio heads are just going by numbers, then they automatically assume multiplayer is the same thing. So here's why we had such a huge change in the Call of Duty franchise. And that was because of zombies. So literally, David Vonderhaar is taking all the credit for zombies numbers in his game. And if you look at it, only 32% of total online players play his game at any given moment. Now, comparative to when you look at a Ghost game, when you look at Call of Duty Ghost, which fixed the time to kill and bullets glitching and all the other stuff, and it was an actual Call of Duty game, an actual multiplayer online game. If you look at the Call of Duty game, Ghost, and you look how many people are online, which is, I think it was 20,000, and then there was 26,000. I'll show it in here in a minute. But if you look at that ratio is 82%, 88% all the people who are playing Ghost are playing it for the multiplayer. They're not playing it for anything else. So it tells you that they're playing the multiplayer for the multiplayer game and not for zombies. Now, whether that makes a difference or not to Activision, because they just assume that they'd get sales regardless one way or the other with zombies, is kind of the worst idea you could think of, because now we see this downward trend. We see Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and then we see the drop in Call of Duty Ghost, and then you see this huge drop off in Advanced Warfare. And people say, well, I mean, and if you look at the sales for like the PS4 and the Xbox One, it's only a couple million difference. It's nowhere even near. I mean, there's a huge disparity between what would be sales between. I mean, if you look at Call of Duty Ghost, it lost. It was a difference of 9 million to 13 million, which is 4 million difference. But if you look at Call of Duty Ghost on the Xbox One, they picked up 2 million on that. So 2.4 million. So you're looking only a difference of 2 million people who left the game. So that's a huge, I mean, that's not really a big of a difference. But then when you look at Call of Duty Ghost versus Xbox 360 and the Xbox One, there's a huge disparity. I mean, there's like 3 million and 2 million, like 10 million just got up and left. So, so what I'm saying is that David Vonderhaar had the opportunity to change the format of this, the ideology of this game, because of the zombies and the numbers that they sold. So when they had the opportunity, they took advantage of it, and they wrote zombies. And I think what happened was that Infinity Ward knew that, and they were trying to build a game. And I think they were using aliens, and it just didn't work out too well. And it's all because of their metagame. And the reason why that game was made is because Treyarch's games never sold any good versus a Infinity Ward game. So they had to come up with a gimmick. They had to come up with a metagame. And see, this is the most terrible part, is that, Treyarch thinks they got a game with a great multiplayer, which it's not. And it clearly is evident by how many people who play online, and you see the numbers versus the core numbers that are online. And if you look at the ratio, it's 80% of Ghost that play multiplayer, who play the game for multiplayer, versus the ratio on Black Ops 2. Now you can imagine if there was no, and here's the thing, Ghost doesn't have no hype behind it. Ghost doesn't have zombie hype behind it. Zombies is carrying Black Ops and Treyarch all the way through. And Zombies has changed because of Zombies, and because of Zombies, Call of Duty has changed. And it's sad because it's not what the real public out there wanted. And they're not all on social media to express that. They just leave. So anyways, that's my video. I hope you understand that and get it. And I'm going to show you these other numbers and stuff, and you can look at it. And if you got questions, hit me up on Twitter. You know, I mean, like I said, I don't have every little shred of evidence. You know, like I said, I'm not sitting here and having every little shred of evidence. But I know if I took the time to do it, I could dispute anybody's argument. I'm just giving you a sample of what is out there, and then you can go do your own research yourself and maybe make your own video, whatever. But, you know, and some people like Black Ops, and I'm not discounting that. You like Black Ops, you like Black Ops. But to say that Ghost is like this greatest, to say like Black Ops 2 is the greatest Call of Duty that's been ever made and everybody should follow their lead, that's not the case. Black Ops 2... Treyarch was always second fiddle to Infinity Ward. They always undersold. If you look back at every Call of Duty before Black Ops 1, they always undersold the Infinity series before Vince Zampella and Wes were fired. And they had to come up with a gimmick to sell. And they had to make 2 games instead of Infinity Ward making 1 game. And by doing so, they had so much data on sales that they had the ability to change the game because... And it was like a perfect storm. Wes and Zampella got fired, so they took the lead on that, and they changed the ideology of the game. And if you look down the road, like the sales went straight to the toilet. So it has nothing to do with Infinity Ward's a bad developer. It has to do with, you know, they changed the game and they ruined it, and all that's going on is they're being carried by zombies. Anyways. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, hit me up on Twitter, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.